Now let's talk computers. The computer giant Microsoft has unveiled the latest version of its Windows operating system in an attempt to catch up with rivals such as Apple and Google. And Microsoft's new Surface tablet puts it in direct competition with 4 other big tech companies, all fighting to sell their products this Christmas. Well, in a moment, we'll hear from the technology blogger Tom Cheesewright. But first, let's take a look at the competing offers on the market. Let's start with the Amazon online retailer, Amazon. It's now being powered ahead with its Kindle Fire, which is the company's Android-based tablet, hoping to cash in on the existing strength of the Kindle brand. Amazon will want to make the most of the wide range of music and video they have access to. It's the price that is the Kindle Fire's biggest selling point, though. It's cheaper. Let's move on to the next one. Pitched in direct competition to the Kindle Fire is the Google Nexus. It's thought a new generation of Nexus will be released very soon. Move away from the Nexus. Let's move to the big announcement, of course, this week. Apple launched its mini iPad, an attempt to woo its customers along with a new generation of iPad 4, a smaller, cheaper version of the iPad there. And then finally, to this afternoon, and Microsoft unveiling its Surface tablet. There it is, in an attempt to join the competition. The chief executive, Steve Ballmer, said they'd reimagine the whole PC industry. So there's plenty of choice for the consumer, but which one are they going to plump for? Let's talk now to our guest, Mr. Cheesewright, who is a internet blogger. Good evening to you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Good evening.
What do you reckon? What do you think of this new Microsoft tablet?
The tablet itself, it looks beautiful. It's a very shiny, beautiful piece of engineering, very much designed from a quality perspective to compete at the Apple end of the market, and it's certainly priced that way, the more expensive end of the market. The question is, can it generate the same sort of the same sort of appeal that Apple devices so clearly have for people?
And that's always been the problem with Microsoft, isn't it? It's seen as a sort of operating system. Their computers, you use them in the office. If you're young and funky and you're out about, you're using Apple. I mean, is this tablet going to be their way of getting into that sort of younger, trendier market, do you think?
To an extent, the tablet is what bridges the kind of the corporate world and the home world. But you've got to remember that Apple has a huge, Microsoft has a huge audience for its Xbox product as well. People who know the company primarily as a provider of game systems, not as boring corporate PCs. So there is an audience out there who know Microsoft very much as a much funkier company than those of us more familiar with the beige PC box might imagine.
Apple, however, are desperately trying to sort of, compete with these different sort of operating systems and indeed with the size of the tablet. I mean, have they made the right move with their smaller version of the iPad?
I think it's an interesting one. It's interestingly priced. If you look at the level they've gone at, about £270 for the basic model, it's certainly higher than some people potentially guessed. But then you look at how Apple makes its money. Apple makes 30–35% margins on hardware, whereas people like Google and Amazon are selling their hardware at cost price purely to make their money on the content. And really, even though you've got all 4 of these big companies going after an ecosystem model, trying to provide the content, the software and the hardware, they're doing it in slightly different fashions. And Microsoft certainly seems to be aiming at the higher end of the market and trying to make money off its hardware products and actually influence the development of a hardware ecosystem around its Windows 8 operating system.
But it is a big gamble for Microsoft, isn't it?
This is the bet the farm moment, if you like. As Steve Ballmer says, this is the biggest launch for them since Windows 95. Windows 8 absolutely has to work. It's probably going to take quite a long time to take off in the corporate market, where lots of companies are still using Windows XP and will be for another couple of years. So the battleground between now and 2014 is very much for the consumer. Can Microsoft succeed in generating this level of cool around these tablets that it really needs to sell them in vast numbers?
OK, so who do you think is going to win the battle at Christmas then?
I think it's very hard to bet against Apple. They do have this cachet, they do have this appeal. But with Android tablets now available down at the £60 mark, you're going to have to really want that Apple cool to pay the extra £200.
OK. Tom Cheesewright, technology blogger. It's good to talk to you. Many thanks.